Because when you were born into this world, you adhered to its ways, its monetary system. Satan is the God of this world. You're born into sin. But remember, the Lord hated money exchangers, tax collectors, bribers, and those who practice falsehood and lies. The deceitfulness of the wealthy. These are the ones who implement their monetary system that you're born into that holds you accountable, like taxation. That's slavery. Remember, the Lord hated those peoples. He threw them out of his temple. These are your gods of Egypt. They serve the gods of their belly. They put the terrors of the monetary system in place. Constantine was the first person who created the shekel. These are all your gods of Egypt. Caesar, Nero, Constantine, Nimrod, Marduk, Alexander the Great, Nebuchadnezzar, and this is the empires of this world. The horns of salvation, or the horns of the 10 horns, is what they're talking about. Horns represented powers. See how Satan mocks everything God? The frontlets of the eyes, the Rubable, or the mark. That's Satan's kingdom. You see how his kingdom mocks everything that the Lord is representation of? So he will mimic or mock. That's what I call. So they kind of, that's what I'm saying. If you don't understand the word of God, you're going to be taken under deception. It's as if it were possible you could deceive God's people. Study and show thyself approved. So this monastery, he said he's setting Egyptian against Egyptian. Why? Because the gods of Egypt always served the gods of their belly, or their monetary system, or their lands, or their possessions. And he says, I'm kindling a fire and burning their idols. Remember King Solomon, 666 talents in labor slavery, how he enslaved people, Harambe, gods of Egypt, to build his temple. That was the brazen image, or the golden calf. So that was the breaking the covenant with Yahweh, what that was symbolic of. He broke the covenant with Yahweh, didn't live on Yahweh's terms, just like Pharaoh didn't. Pharaoh hardened his heart to God's will. He gave him 4 plagues. Remember the plagues I sent upon Egypt? Pharaoh and all his servants? These are the plagues of Egypt. If you're serving a God of Egypt, that's why he commands us to come out of Egypt. Because he knows that you're going to be, the repercussions of that phallic worship is going to be plagues. Wrath falls on children of disobedience. That's why I said, even false religion. You're in Egypt. You're in Egypt. You're serving gods of Egypt. If you do your lineage research and to see, the tribe of Dan won't, that's where the spirit of the Antichrist presides from. They will not see paradise. You cannot pray people in, like I say, the Nephilim, fallen angels, or demons. I speak of this, people make fun of me. It's biblical. You can't pray demons into heaven. And that's why I always tell people, you can't be in the bed with Satan and be the bride of Christ. You can't drink the cup of devils and drink the cup of the Lord. Do not make a covenant with them or their false gods. You can't intermarry, like in the book of Enoch, which is the Talmud, fire and brimstone, where they taught their children, sons and daughters, how to use seductory and wear makeup and, armor and fight, be at war, and even started incest, intermarrying their own daughters, found their daughters to be beautiful, and started marrying their own daughters to keep their bloodline pure. This is I've done enough biblical research and lineage and seeds, and to know, like they say, don't pass thy seed to the fire and give them over to Molech. This was child sacrifice. This was ransoming your children, slaying the children to demons. Demons could be anybody who, for one, living in sin, but further sin than that. If people are blaspheming, that's unpardonable. If they're in willful sin for economic allegory, to set on fire Tophia in the valley of Hinnom, you're not supposed to interyoke with them. You're not. The Lord didn't, like he said, flee Judea. That was a synagogue of Satan. He only stayed there 4 days because he knew that they had paganistic ways. And if you are what you hang with, so to speak, do not intermingle with the fallen. They'll have you worshiping their false gods. So you'll be subjected to their ways. You will pick up some of their traditions or their behavioral things. That's why I tell people, you could be if you're raised up around blasphemers, or and you're going to pick up some of their traits or characteristic traits. And so the Lord laid his hand on my life. He showed me all these things. He will show you what curses or bondages you lie under. I mean, most of this world is under them. I guarantee, I assure you of that. We're in the last days. The days are evil. So most people have a curse operating over their lives. But it's not God's will for you. He didn't say, here, I give you life, don't go live in sin. Would never require you to set yourself on fire to become what he created you to be. You have a brain, you have gifts, you have talents. Now at the cross, I don't desire things of this world. Maybe God's some of the greatest gifts were unanswered prayers. Maybe there was things I thought I wanted, but he protected me from. I knew you before the womb to be a prophet before the nation. Prophet, someone with great wisdom, who he puts the remnant, you know, they'll think something strange. I put this very trial upon you. Refiner's fire. This is changing everything about who you are. And it could take a whole lifetime for someone to become prophetic. Because all those trials, experience, and wisdom is where they get their knowledge from. That's the greatest experience you could have is life trials. And the world will have trials and tribulations. No one's obsolete from them. To say I haven't sinned would be a lie. Whom I was chief. Some of the greatest prophets were sinners. But the Lord used them because they knew that they had suffered the formalities or atrocities of real life events. And he could put them in places, in dark places, and they could touch the lives that were succumbing to those same factors and know the words to give them, know the meaning to give to their life, know how to touch them in places that someone without that experience couldn't touch them. You know, some of the greatest prophets were sinners. Keep that in mind. So I don't listen to naysayers or soothsayers. It says, take not counsel from the wicked. A wicked person would be a sinner. The Lord's not going to use someone in sin to correct you out of sin. That's why I said, do not take heed to the ungodly. That would be like me sitting at a dirty table and telling you your table's dirty. Wouldn't you look at me like, what is wrong with this person? She's telling me to clean up my table and her table's dirty. Take the motes and beams out of your own eye. Examine and judge yourself. The Lord's not going to ask you about somebody else's sin, and he's not going to use a sinner to alleviate you of yours. They haven't even been able to alleviate themselves of their sins. Take not counsel from the wicked. So this is why I stay sanctified. I've been sanctified for a while. That's the seal of God, holiness. Be ye holy, for I am holy. Nothing in this world will ever make me fall away into sin again. Nothing. Nothing will ever make me return to a dog's vomit. I can't control people's corrupted mind or carnal ways of thinking, but I don't have to imply it in my life. My power, you have all power and authority of the kingdom of darkness. My power is saying no. My power is healthy boundaries. Brotherly love, Church of Philadelphia, doesn't mean agreeing with people's sin or saying, wait, I'm going to water myself down and go into sin with you so I feel accepted. To be rejected by man is to be approved by God. I will never live in sin again. Not for nobody. Nothing. Ever. Now, I can have righteous indignation. It says if someone sins against you to tell them. So if you feel like someone's doing something abusive or manipulative to you, the Lord would rebuke you. The Lord would tell you. But we handle it in a better way. I'm not trying to be mean to you, but I realize that these things are occurring repetitively. I'm very uncomfortable with the way you're treating me. That's your God-given ability to tell. If you don't tell someone how you feel about something, how would they correct their behavior? If someone sins against you, tell them. But don't go tell 10 other people, because 10 other people can't correct that person's behavior. That's starting a spirit of confusion. Now there's gossiping. Now there's tale-bearing. Now there's backbiting. Everybody knows everybody's business. And it could have ended by you just addressing the person that wounded you. That could have ended the whole thing. That's why they say wise gossip stops a wise person's ears. You know how Jesus was able to discern his Judas? Because he watched his behavior and demeanors. Guard your mouth in front of the wicked. You just be silent. Be slow to speak. You see a lot of things if you don't live in your own confusion. If you keep your mouth closed, you can see a lot of things going on. You can discern and observe a lot of behaviors, a lot of things that you might miss if you're always talking.